Hi, this is Catherine. This is Taking Tea with Catherine. Today I'm drinking an herbal tea called Sleepy Time Sinus Soother. Right? Sinus Soother. So it's not the classic Sleepy Time. It has some of the elements of it, so it's almost there, but it's not quite. It has like some licorice and other things, so it's not as good as the classic in my opinion, but it's relaxing. So that's kind of the main thing. It still has the old bear from many, many years ago, and has a little quote in the back by Mary Shelley. The very winds whispered in soothing accents, and maternal nature bade me weep no more. So I guess that's kind of relaxing. So, speaking of relaxing, excuse me, let's talk about the August TBR plans. I did pretty good, and I'm not doing a wrap up for Jane Austen July yet, but I'm doing pretty good, almost, but not quite everything I plan to read for Jane Austen July. And to me, that's good. I've had times where I've made every single challenge in something, but I'm not gonna beat myself up if I miss something. But a lot of the books that I have for August are books that I started earlier on, some of which I'm actually considering more of a to be completed or to be continued. So they're not TBR, like they're not new TBRs. A lot of familiar faces here. And yeah, some are books that I plan to start and never end up really actually starting. So there we go. There is one challenge I'm semi-participating in, but I'm not going to be too overzealous with it, because there's plenty of other just coming out of July, and then going into October, November, I'll have plenty of things to plan when it comes to challenges. By the way, I kind of broke out a little bit, so if you see all kinds of little marks on my face where we're just let it go. Life happens. Okay, I know people aren't sitting around trying to criticize me. I never grew up from being a teenager, you know. Right? Have any of us? Okay, so let me see. Where to begin? Well, I guess I'll begin with the books that I plan to begin, that I haven't begun yet, that I'm not reading alone. And this is one I planned to start in June. And then just things got busy and things happened and I couldn't. And I just want to read it. And now my book club is meeting in the middle of August, which is good. Usually I'm the first one to finish the book. And it could happen again, but I feel like I'm actually waiting a little bit longer than usual. And this book is Rules of Civility by Amor Towles. This is a name I keep telling myself to remember how to pronounce it, and I keep not getting it. But it's kind of takes place, I think, in New York in the past. And I don't want to talk about it too much until I actually start it, but it looks like fun, and so I'll let you know how it goes along. It doesn't really fit any challenges that I can think of right now. And here's one that does tend to fit something that I've been... My cat has decided to knock something over that I put on the top of a surface like a week ago, waiting for her to knock it off because it's a toy. And she decided right in the middle of this to do it. Because that's cats. But anyway, total distraction. So this is something I'm reading with my sister. Who knows if we could both read it in its entirety in August. Probably not. But it is a classic, so that does go with the whole goal of reading more classics, the classics community, classics challenge, all those kind of things. So yeah, I mean it is in keeping with it. I've had this book for a long time, and I don't think I've ever read anything by this writer, Alexander Dumas, the Count of Monte Cristo. This is a discount one. This was like a series of Barnes & Noble classics that came out well over a decade ago, and it looked like this. I have up there somewhere. I have Anna Karenina in this format. Hopefully it's a good translation. Hopefully I like the book. And if I don't, well, I've had buddy reads that were flops. It happens, right? Let's see. So I'm trying to see what order I can do things in, but okay. I think I'm trying to keep it in order of books that I haven't actually started yet. I'm not talking about if I started like a few pages. Just, like sometimes when I buy a book or something like that, I will maybe thumb through a few pages, and I don't consider that really starting it. It's more like sampling it. So So yeah, I don't really count it because I see some of them have bookmarks in them. And sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean that I've started it. It means that I want to start it. And if I have a bookmark in it, why can't I speak? A bookmark in it, then it's, on the right track. So this is a book that I bought in, I think it was June. I was talking about supporting certain bookshops and especially independent bookshops. And one of the places I hadn't been to, it opened over a year ago, and then I never visited it. It was in the Bronx, and it is called the Lit Bar. And, I just don't really get to the Bronx very often, but it was, whenever there's a new bookshop in New York City, if I can get to it, I will, but I just didn't. So I didn't get to it, and then COVID happened, and I don't know when this website started, but it definitely picked up steam during the whole COVID situation. I think it's called bookshop.org. Do not quote me, but I think that's what it is. And it's basically a bunch of independent bookshops, I think just in the United States, maybe, that are able to be sold on this website. So if some of them are open now, not all are open for, foot traffic. Some of them are still curbside pickup. Either way, it is much easier to support someone when you're limited during a pandemic if you can order from their shop online. Even easier if you don't have maybe a bookshop in mind and you have a book in mind, but you want to support independent bookshops, you could just find it that way. Or you can look for the specific bookshop. So anyway, I'm not doing this to advertise, but I picked a book that I had seen actually a couple of years ago in Barnes & Noble, and I liked the look of it, and I didn't buy it because I often don't buy books that I see in Barnes & Noble. And especially when they're new, because, again, if I buy everything that's new, I'm going to be broke. This year I've done a little more than usual because of the lack of libraries still. Some libraries are opening in the city where I live, New York City, and they have a thing where you can put things on reserve and almost like curbside pickups now. But it's limited branches, and both, I think, in Manhattan, which I haven't gone to yet, since everything started. But even in my neighborhood, the library that's in my neighborhood is not open yet for this situation. So I still have to buy new books if I want them online, but that's a side point. So anyway, in the past, when I say the past, anytime before this year, when a book came out that I wanted to read, I would try to take note of it and get it out of the library, but it didn't always happen. So I saw this book online when I was looking at the Lit Bar, and I said, well, this is perfect. And it's a book about readers. To me, that is everything. I love books about books, and I love books about reading. So, without further ado, this is Well-Read Black Girl by Glory Edom. I hope I'm pronouncing Edom correctly. If not, anyone who knows can please correct me. And it says, it's an anthology. And it says, remember that moment when you first encountered a character who seemed to be written just for you? Unfortunately, not everyone regularly sees themselves in the pages of a book. In this timely anthology, Glory Edom brings together original essays by some of our best Black women writers to shine a light on how important it is that we all, regardless of gender, race, religion, or ability, have the opportunity to find ourselves in literature. So that's good. I think I'll enjoy it, and I really like not just the cover art, the fact that it's a naked hardback, because I don't mind dust jackets for purposes of how it looks on the shelves, but for reading, it can be annoying because it flops and everything. I don't mind French flaps, but anyway, French flaps are usually on paperbacks, and this is a hardback. So not only is the naked hardbacks of the actual artwork is on the book, which I always love when that happens, but it's just a nice feel, like it's a good book feel. You know what I mean? Like it has the right shape, and it has that nice kind of, feeling. So I like books that are not only books that I want to read, but also that are aesthetically pleasing. As sort of opposed to, and I love Barnes & Noble, but as a sort of opposed to this book, because this is kind of, it's a classic, it's big, but this is going to have to be removed while I'm reading it. It's a bit chunky, but, not going to go crazy. This isn't so bad. It has like one of those kind of peekaboo inside situations. Okay, I'm going a little too much on the aesthetic of books rather than the actual content. Here's a book I showed for, I think, I don't know what it was, if it was a Friday Reads or what, that I had thought about starting in July, but it's not. Sorry, my eye got itchy. But it's not a Jane Austen related book that I know of whatsoever. And so I thought, okay, you know what? Let's focus on Jane Austen for July, and in August you'll start it. Make sure you read it before September, or at least have read a lot of it before September, because this book came out in the UK already, but it hasn't come out in the United States, so I ordered it online from, I think, Book Depository so that I could get it, and I got it in paperback, which is great. And that is The Constant Rabbit by Jasper Ford, one of my favorite writers. So I really hope I love this book and that I enjoy it. And only thing is, I realized I bought this new and it was great, but since I bought it, somehow it got a little bit dented. I hate when things get dented before I started it. I know, no one's going to notice it here, but I am so hung up on these things. But yeah, so if I went through the trouble of getting it before it comes out in the United States, and where I could have just got it here, then I better read it in August, right? And I hope I enjoy it. And if I don't, well, then I'm just gonna, what can you do, right? It wasn't too costly or anything. And okay, so for tea and mystery, because I always have to have at least one mystery a month, I picked this one. It's dented. I got it on, I think, Thrift Books or something, and it was used. And it's one of the why can't I speak with B words today? British Library Crime Classics. British Library Crime. Wow, it's not happening. British Library Crime Classics. Did I say it? Okay. This is why I need to learn how to edit. Either way. I like the format of these books. I love the covers of them. I haven't liked all the stories, but so far I just like the way they look, even though this one's dented. This is The Cornish Coast Murder by John Bude. I started a few pages a while back and I liked it, so it could be cozy. Cozy for August, maybe. But Cornish Coast, I don't know if it takes place in the summer or not, but Cornwall tends to have mild temperatures compared to a lot of the area, so maybe it'll be summery. I do not know. Okay, so I'm going to first show you, before I go into the challenge, I'm going to show you 3 books that I am well in the middle of, or maybe past the middle of, and you've probably seen a lot of these already. But I just really want to continue in August. That's why I put them in here instead of having a whole bunch of new books to start. I already have enough new books to start, obviously, but just anyway. No pressure. Tenant of Wildfill Hall by Anne Bronte. Bronte? I don't know. Some people say Bronte, so I've gone very far in this book. I'd like to finish these books that are Victorian before October, so I could start fresh. This is when I started in December. I do like it. Of all the books that I've not been able to continue with in Dickens, this is the one I really am pushing myself to actually continue in. Dombey and Son, So Let's Hope, and, which I started in June, loved it, put it on hold for Jane Austen July, although there are a lot of Jane Austen-y elements in this, like marriage and money and stuff, Dr. Thorne, I think it's the 3rd Barsetshire novel of the series, and it is great so far, so I could quite enjoy going back to it. I am buddy reading this also with my sister, as I was doing this with Dombey and Son, but she finished Dombey and Son because she's better at Dickens than I am recently, for some reason. I don't know what is with me and Dickens. Someday I shall return to him in a more, eager way. Okay, so I said I wouldn't really get involved in any challenges, but then I heard about the history challenge, and that is hosted by Emma at A Cup of Books, Jenny, I think, at Bookish Shenanigans, and Justin at Triumphal Reads. I'm sorry if I got any of these names wrong. They're just a little challenge from the 17th to 30th of August, and I think there's little bits and things and prompts and whatever, maybe a bingo board that you could do with it. I decided to not get like fully immersed in the whole challenge and just do the one requirement, which is read a book of history. I love nonfiction as it is, and I love history writing in many forms. So this is not a challenge as like a challenge as in I don't read history. More of let's just get to it, you know. And so here's 2 books that I've shown you that I just started a few pages in and keep wanting to read and just haven't actually gone full steam ahead in. And this is Max Adams Alfred's Britain, War and Peace in the Viking Age. So I like that time period. I read about it earlier in the year and want to keep going. Yeah. And also, I kind of wanted to read this along with Jane Austen July because of the time period, but it's just this, no time. So, Revolutionary Brothers by Tom Chaffin, Marquis de Lafayette, and Thomas Jefferson. If you don't know these names, you haven't been watching Hamilton. So, or you're not, haven't been through the American educational system. Even if you have. Anyway, yeah, I'm still in a reading about the Founding Fathers phase, so I shall continue with that, hopefully. Now, those are hopeful books I want to read in history challenge. Now, if it gets to August, middle August, and suddenly I'm craving another history book, I'll pick that one up instead. Nothing is set in stone, really. Except for the buddy reads and the book club reads, nothing is completely set in stone. But I like to have a plan. And I think because I picked a few that I'm already in the middle of, I think it's slightly easygoing. I mean, still ambitious starting a new classic when I'm in the middle of a bunch of classics, but you know what? I like to have something to challenge myself with in a fun way. So that's it for now. Let me know if you guys are doing history challenge at all, and or if you're like reading history. Let me know if you guys are interested in any of these books and what you plan to read in August. So hopefully you plan to read in August. So yeah. And this is Catherine at Taking Tea with Catherine. Have a lovely tea and book-filled month. Take care.